Welcome to this presentation on industrial hemp. I'm going to take you on a journey that shows the remarkable impact that industrial hemp and cannabis and all elements of the cannabis plant can have on every country, and that includes medicinal cannabis, that includes industrial cannabis. And so the word hemp means cannabis. When I use the word cannabis, it does not mean medicinal cannabis or recreational cannabis. I will share my screen. I'm the Chief Executive Officer and International Marketing Director of Textile and Composite Industries in Australia. We're manufacturers of the world's most effective and economic hemp decorticator. I will explain what a decorticator is. I'm Secretary of the Australian Industrial Hemp Alliance, Australia's peak national body for industrial hemp. And I'm on the board of the Federation of International Hemp Organisations, FIHO, which is now made up of 17 global organisations that have created a global federation to make sure that the development of all matters cannabis progresses in a consistent way. And one of the great problems with cannabis is the ridiculous attitude of most governments to cannabis. So this presentation is about industrial hemp that we say, our company says is a wonderful game-changing agribusiness opportunity for Australia and indeed every country on our spaceship Earth. This is a global game-changing agribusiness opportunity that improves the environment, sequesters carbon efficiently, enables profitable and sustainable farming, and reduces the global usage of synthetic chemicals and damaging products. This presentation, whenever I make a presentation, I make it in honour of Adrian Francis K. Clark, the founder of Textile and Composite Industries in 1994. And the inventor of the world's best decorticator, a decorticator that does not need retting of hemp. I will just mute everybody. Adrian died on 15 October 2015, and he was only 72 at the time. In fact, 68. He dedicated the last part of his life to solving the major problem of the hemp industry, how to decorticate without retting. And whilst this presentation is focused on industrial hemp, as I'm talking about it, please understand that producers of medicinal cannabis have a problem with the remainder stalk. They're either required to destroy it or they can't make use of it and they destroy it because it's literally considered to be waste. Our decorticator will enable, eventually when we help wake governments up, for medicinal cannabis producers, for recreational cannabis producers, to produce their products and to have the remainder stalk decorticated to produce wonderful, valuable products, thereby guaranteeing profitability for cannabis producers of all types. Now, I said that Adrian started this company in 1994, and I will tell you why he started it, but that was a visionary step. In 1996, he traveled to Kentucky and to Canada with his brother Anthony Clark, who's the current chairman of Textile and Composite Industries. I'm the chief executive officer, and he educated people in Kentucky because Kentucky was starting to take an interest in hemp. He educated people about the problem of decortication, went to Canada, did the same thing. And his efforts from 1994 have had a significant impact on the growth of hemp globally over the last 28 years. Now, the most expensive step in using hemp was the process of separating the hemp stalk into its component parts of fibre and hurd. That's the process called decortication. It's a strange word. Until I got involved in hemp 10 years ago, I didn't know what it meant, but I do now. Our company, driven by our philosophy of helping farmers to become more profitable, independent, environmentally green and sustainable, developed a decorticating machine over the past 28 years, not 27 years, that eliminates these expensive processing costs. Now, you might say, why did Adrian do this? Why did he do this? Because he was a lover of freedom, as am I. That's the reason why I'm in hemp. I fight for freedom in a range of ways. I am Australasia's passion provocateur. I'm a legal strategist. I practiced law for 20 years. For the last 29 years, I have been a motivational speaker, a speaker on passion, a speaker on leadership, a speaker on strategy for business, big business, medium business, small business. But all of my work relates to freedom. I'm also chairman of the Australian Institute of Comedy. So everything I do. So everything I do has a theme related to freedom. Adrian could see, and I agree with him, that the way to guarantee human freedom is to have successful, profitable, sustainable family farms. Why? Because farmers on the land, away from government, away from capital cities, they can tell government literally to get stuffed. They can tell government to go away. The alternative, which is the message driven by big business, says, oh, the only way that you can make money out of agriculture is by having corporatized farming with big companies running agriculture. That is a guaranteed way for us to lose freedom. I urge all people watching this presentation to understand that small, medium-sized family farms will guarantee human freedom. Just imagine the alternative of we're all living in cities, all cooped up, and there's major corporations running, big corporatized agriculture, monoculture. That is a disastrous model. That's why Adrian Clark started this, because he said, so what's the crop that is going to most successfully enable profitable, sustainable family farms? And he says hemp. He says, well, why aren't people growing hemp? Because from hemp you can make all sorts of things. And the answer was that it's hard to make money from hemp because of the problem of decortication. So he says, okay, I will solve the problem of decortication. So that's what he did when he started in 1994. And I'm delighted to announce that this big problem has been solved. For the past 8,000 years, the only way to separate the hemp plant, the stalk of the plant, into its component parts was to commence with retting the harvested stalk. Retting is a rotting process designed to break down the molecular bonds within the plant via biological action. Retting can be achieved in a number of ways. Soaking in hot water, the Chinese do that a lot, in huge vats of boiling water. Leaving the harvested stalks in the field for 3 to 6 weeks, steaming the stalks, or a combination of those. Retting is expensive, labour-intensive, time-consuming, and entirely inappropriate for our Australian climate. So Adrian lived in Melbourne, Australia, where I live, but also for many climates around the world. But also, even if the climate is supportive, it's still labour-intensive, time-consuming, expensive, and also damages the fibre and the hurd. So he identified the problem. He says, gosh, if we could identify that problem, then farmers would grow hemp and thereby secure their future profitability. And I'm telling you now that hemp is incredibly profitable, and it doesn't matter how much of it is produced, it can remain profitable. Unlike most crops, where if you push production up, the price comes down significantly. There are opportunities in the hemp industry for farmers, investors, designers of machinery, designers of industrial products, designers of materials handling systems, manufacturers of textiles and composites, food and cosmetic manufacturers, retailers, agricultural machinery suppliers, agricultural support services. Over the past few years, I've developed a mantra. I have copyrighted this, HP by 4. HP is the first and last letters of hemp. HP stands for healthy products that then help people become healthy, that makes our planet healthier, and at the same time producing healthy profits. Healthy products, healthy people, healthy planet, healthy profits. So this one plant has 10 categories of products. There's a picture for you to contemplate this. So there's food, clothing, buildings, medicine, medicinal cannabis. I'll put into that side the recreational side. In fact, that would be an 11th category, wouldn't it? But we'll put it as medicine, recreational, fuel, ethanol you can make from the herd. Ethanol, like a country that imports fuel can use the hemp to make ethanol, so it doesn't have to spend its foreign exchange on buying fuel. And the other source of fuel is biodiesel from the hemp seed oil. Fertilizer, so the hemp plant itself becomes a fertilizer because it rejuvenates and repairs soil. Composite materials, so hemp fiber can replace fiberglass, body care products, cosmetics, rope and twine, baling twine, and packaging materials. So the whole packaging industry with the waste that it produces can be totally replaced by biodegradable, compostable, recyclable hemp products. Now, all of this, since we've solved the problem of decortication, all of this can be done in a reasonably economic way. Whereas if you have to do the retting, the hemp products become much more expensive. So here's the sort of profitability for hemp growing. This is the indicative numbers for 1 hectare. It's reasonably accurate for US numbers as well. So you have to buy the seed, you have to grow it up to harvest, and so you have a production cost. Then you have to harvest and process, and then you produce products for sale. And these are accurate numbers. The fibre from 1 hectare, which is 2.5 acres, 2.47 acres to be precise. So 2.5 acres or 1 hectare will produce 3 tonnes of fibre worth $7,500, 7 tonnes of herd worth $7,000, 1 tonne of seed for $3,000. So that's $17,500 of farm gate value, and the cost of producing that is your $2,000 growing cost, your $4,000 harvesting and processing costs. $6,000, take that off $17,500. There's the potential there for $8,000, $9,000, $10,000, $11,000 profit per hectare. And in many places in America, around the world, you can grow 2 crops a year. Now, the one element that this does not take into account is the holding cost of your land. So if you have to rent land, then you have to take that rental cost off your profitability. Or if you own land, then of course the interest on that capital cost has to be taken into account. Hemp is very profitable when you don't have to do retting, and that's what Adrian could see. And when you look at 1 hectare doing this, well, you can start to see that a 10-hectare family farm, 25-acre family farm can make $100,000 profit per crop. So suddenly you start to see, gosh, communities in regional and rural areas can literally start to lift them out of struggle street by relying on this magnificent plant. So let's look at the cross section of this plant. The hemp stalk is made up of 2 key parts, the fibre on the outside and the hurd on the inside. This is the case for every cannabis plant, whether it's produced for medicinal purposes, for seed purposes. All the cross section of the stalk looks like this. So get hold of a stalk and cut it and have a look at it yourself. The hurd is approximately 70% by weight and the fibre is 30%. And the challenge is to take the fibre off the hurd. That's what we do. And you can see the uses to which you put the hurd. So animal bedding, mulch, chemical absorbent, fiberboard, insulation, concrete. The fibre is rope, netting, canvas, carpet, biocomposites, non-wovens, clothes, shoes, bags. And then the whole stalk, which is a less profitable way, but the whole stalk can be used for biofuel, but it's much better to use the hurd for ethanol, the biofuel from the seed, as I've talked about, paper products. You can use the whole hemp stalk to make pulp, cardboard, and filters. So this is what an ideal fibre hemp crop looks like. So when I talk hemp crops, there are 2 ways that people talk about it. You have a seed crop or a fibre crop. Fibre crops go tall and straight like bamboo crops. They can go to 10, 12, 15. In fact, we've had reports in America of 18-foot high fibre crops. Now, they're the same seed as a seed crop, but they're planted close together so that the plant grows up. Now, these crops grew in 90 to 100 days. Look at that. You know, like, that's just ridiculous. It's 12, 13, 14 feet in 100 days from seed. So it's not permanent. You have to plant the seed, and this is what it grows to. And every part of this biomass is valuable. Our decorticator that overcomes the problem of retting. This is what it currently looks like. This machine is a machine. 2 of these machines are in Pennsylvania. And we are having lots of inquiries with people all around the world who are starting to understand the value of hemp. This machine is fully computer linked, Internet of Things linked. All of the elements of it are cross-referenced so that it can't be damaged in use. But it's a pretty sophisticated machine. It costs just under $500,000 US. And the way that it works is that conveyor here, you send after you've harvested the hemp. So you have to literally slash the hemp and then bring the stalks to this machine. This machine sits in a shed in a factory, and you bring the stalks, then you send the stalks up this conveyor. And then the decorticator itself decorticates, and the fibre comes out this chute. And on this side, so the chute goes out the back there, and the hurd comes down this side. Well, here's another view. The hurd comes out here, having been fed in on the other side of the machine. And it's a mechanical process where it separates the fibre and the hurd. It's not 100% separation. It's 85 to 90%. So that means there's a small amount of hurd in the fibre, and there's a small amount of fibre in the hurd, both of which can be separated quite conveniently. Another important principle is we're talking about a natural crop, so that the rules for the operation of this machine are, if you put, like any machine, if you put garbage in, you get garbage out. If you imagine this crop here being harvested, look how beautiful and straight that is, and you then feed that straight stalk up the conveyor, it's going to give you a much better result than if you've got a crop that has been dried and damaged or got lots of branches. The decorticator was designed for fibre crops, but it will decorticate anything. It will also decorticate canaf and other, it will decorticate flax, for example. But we're focused on hemp because hemp fibre is the strongest natural fibre on the planet. Now, this is the development journey. Have a look. This is what the D8 decorticator looked like in 2012. That's when I joined the company 10 years ago. That's what it looks like now. That's what it looked like then. So it's been an amazing development journey. Then that machine became this machine. So this machine is operational in Victoria. It's our demonstration machine. The essence of the D8 is in there. It's protected by confidentiality, and anyone who buys one of our machines has to sign confidentiality agreements. This machine then developed into this next version, which has all of the safety requirements for Canada, America, Europe, Australia, and also has digital linkage back to head office here in Australia of the operations of this machine. And so this machine that you can see on the screen now has turned into this machine with even more enhancements. So hemp, fibre and hurd is now significantly more cost effective to produce without retting by using our D8 decorticator. The D8 now this solves the problem of hemp being a very real substitute for existing products. On the left, you can see raw hemp fibre that comes straight out of our machine. And then if you want to make textiles, you have to degum it. It's a cottonized process. You have to take the gum out of it. It takes about 40% of the weight, and then it becomes cotton-like. And from this, you make yarn. And once you have yarn, you can make any textiles. And not only yarn, you can also make non-woven materials. So the question of the fibre itself can be turned into lots of non-woven materials, the raw fibre, and then if for textiles, you have to degum. That's an extra cost. All of these, the setting up of that plant, that's more sophisticated, and you do not have to go to the end sophisticated products immediately. You can start on the easy stuff first. The secondary product after fibre is hurd. Hurd can be used to make hempcrete, paper, cellulose product, plastics, cellulosic materials, fuel, ethanol, building products and building walls. It's like wood chip. The two guys on the left are standing on a big pile of hurd. And you can see a handful of hurd on the right-hand side. Just one moment. Sorry, darling. And as I'm sure you know, I will be available for questions arising from this presentation, and my contact details are also at the end of the presentation. So this is what a hemp hurd and binder wall looks like. This is called hempcrete. This wall gives maximum insulation, yet it breathes. It's fire resistant, fantastic for fire prone areas. And hemp houses made, this material is termite proof, mold proof, and you can also make low cost housing from it. Now, to give you an idea, for a smaller house from 1 hectare, from 2.5 acres, you can make 1 big house, 2 medium houses, or 3 smaller houses from 2.5 acres. So, and very cost effective. And these houses also maintain a cool temperature in summer, a warm temperature in winter. It's just the world's best building material. Here's an example of a hempcrete wall. You can do all sorts of designs in it. These were some local Australian Aboriginals. You can colour it any colour that you want. And if it's facing the weather, you put a weather sealant on it that still breathes. So water can't go through, but air can. And that's the wonderful way that hempcrete performs. Now, hemp composites are light and strong. So you picture that fibre that replaces fiberglass. It replaces carbon fibre in certain applications, and it reduces the cost of using carbon fibre. When mixed with carbon fibre, it makes carbon fibre less liable to shatter. It makes it more flexible. Shipping pellets, we made shipping pellets that you can see on the left-hand side there. A normal wooden shipping pellet weighs 80 pounds. That shipping pellet that does the same job as an 80-pound shipping pellet weighs under 20 pounds. So it saves on shipping costs. And on the right-hand side is a car made out of a hemp composite body. So hemp composites are incredibly light, strong, and therefore fantastic for electric vehicles as well, but also for a whole range of products. Using, if you picture, anything made out of fiberglass and plastic can be made out of hemp composites. So there are 10 significant advantages of hemp. Number one, it's environmentally clean. Number two, it efficiently and effectively sequesters carbon dioxide, 22 tons of CO2 per hectare. And that the value of that CO2 is between $80 and heading up to $200 a ton. So this is another profitability element of hemp. It uses minimal fertilizers and can be grown with zero chemicals. Efficient water usage. It uses 70 to 80% less water than cotton. It improves the soil. It's excellent, healthy, attractive profits. The products are natural, antibacterial, antimicrobial, anti-mold. Each product that you can make from hemp, now I said there are 10 categories, over 25,000 different products. Now, you say, how can I have so many different products? Well, if you just take the medicinal side, you have your flowers and the buds, and you can do a whole range of products from just the flowers and the buds. 25, some people say close to 50,000 products. We haven't bothered to do the numbers. You can value add to hemp raw materials in multiple ways, and you can supply local and global markets. So if markets don't want a certain product, the beauty of hemp is you start producing a different product, different strokes for different folks. And I've said before that hemp can be a magnificent import replacement for African countries in particular. I have spoken to many people in African countries over the years, and they say, where are we going to export? No, you don't have to export. You grow it locally, you use it locally so that you don't have to import stuff from other countries and use valuable foreign exchange. We say the best value-added hemp-based products to focus on in the next 5 years for local and global markets. So I've got these in order. There's 6 here, and there's another 9 there. So fibre for clothing. Have to have my coffee. Love coffee. Fibre for biodegradable weed matting. So instead of using black plastic for weed matting, use hemp fibre. Hurd for hempcrete and other building purposes. You can make insulation from the fibre. The hurd is fantastic for horse bedding and poultry bedding and other animals. And one of the issues with poultry is the disease issues. By using hemp, by using hurd, this is it's incredibly absorbent. It reduces disease amongst animals. Of course, you grow the seed, so you can use that for local planting or export for planting purposes. Then you can use the seed for food. So hemp seed, when it's used for food, is called seed. If you're going to be using it to plant other crops, it's called grain. Seed for cosmetics. So you get the oil from the cosmetics, and also the remainder materials from the seed itself have various uses, including bread making, including beer making. Number 9, fibre for composites, particularly shipping pallets, building components, car parts, caravans and trailers. 10th, fibre and hurd for edible food containers. Just imagine this. You make with potatoes and hemp fibre, you make a small container, you put a hamburger in it. At the end, you feed that to the pigs, and the pigs eat it, and it's healthy for the pigs. Fibre and hurd will replace most plastic applications. Hurd for ethanol, fibre for ropes and baling twine, string, fibre for medical bandages because it's natural, antimicrobial, antibacterial. It reduces infection. And then hurd for garden mulch. It's the most amazing garden mulch. I put it on my garden. Most mulch, after a couple of months, the weeds start coming through. Hurd suppresses it far more effectively. And when the price that I put into the earlier financial analysis showed $1,000 a tonne for hurd. But if you sell it by the pound at a home depot or a supermarket to local farmers, they will pay 2 to 3 times more than you would at the farm gate for big use. So hurd for garden mulch can become very profitable to the home gardening market. So successful competition against other products and successful global hemp industry growth requires 5 strategic initiatives, and I'm heading well. I'll be finished in about 10, 12 minutes, so you can set your planning. Number one, for these 5 strategies. Number one, generate market demand for hemp rather than farmer push. We need to identify well-funded and successful businesses that have already publicly committed to reduce their negative environmental impact, and we need to educate them about the potential for unretted hemp to be the way that they can solve their environmental challenges. Now, I haven't talked about 3 big tidal waves that are happening on our planet. Number one is the ESG tidal wave. That relates to this environmental issue. ESG, big companies have to reduce their greenhouse gas emissions. ESG stands for environmental, social, and governance policies. Big listed companies right around the world, their share price is being hammered if they don't take the right steps on these matters. The second big tidal wave is the circular economy, which means reducing waste. Hemp helps that. Third, the whole movement towards health. And you've heard with my mantra, HP by 4, hemp is all about health. So hemp is beautifully positioned to surf these 3 tidal waves of ESG, circular economy, and health to magnificent success. That's why it's a global agribusiness game changer. Secondly, second strategy, embrace an abundant philosophy and not one of scarcity. Hemp can radically improve the lives of 70% of the world's population who today can't afford to buy a new cotton shirt. Future sustainable economic growth will come from this 70%, not the existing 30% of consumers who've got plenty of money. Additionally, as standards of living rise and consumption per capita increases, industrial hemp will be desperately needed as the prime source of new raw materials on our planet produced in environmentally clean ways. Thirdly, third strategy. So going back, get clear, generate market demand. Don't go to, our strategy is not to go to farmers and get them to grow it, then try to sell it. No, we go to the end users and say, do you want this stuff? And then when we get the contract from them, then we go back up the supply chain to the farmers. Secondly, embrace an abundance philosophy and not one of scarcity. Thirdly, avoid commoditisation. Do not fall into this trap. Avoid the current fate of oil producers, although right now they're doing well. Iron ore producers, sugarcane, milk producers. In their cases, it's the traders who make the bulk of the profits, not the producers or the growers or the farmers. Do not give away this magnificent raw material at a cheap price just because it's convenient. And risk and reward follows risk. If farmers don't want to take any risk, they go, oh, well, look, I'll just sell it cheaply. I'll get a contract and sell it cheaply. Good. You lock in a profit, but the profit's nothing like what's possible. Now, there will be cooperatives formed, which is a great way for small farmers to come together to make this whole process happen. Fourth strategy, harness the skills, experience, and relationships in local communities to identify the hemp products that should be produced, and then supply the hungry markets that want these products both locally and globally. So when you think about any country, any state in a country, one of the 50 states in the US, You go, what do we need in this state? Because so many products can be made out of hemp, so you make it locally, produce it locally, don't have any transport costs. And then you say, right, what skills have we got in this state? And there could be skills in a particular place that then enable global markets to be accessed because of those special skills. And then fifthly, we have to educate local and global businesses in this strategy that are committed to ESG and circular economy principles, that industrial hemp is the solution that they've been seeking. Hemp can be grown using organic, biodynamic and biological farming practices. Whoops, I've got an extra and. And organic is the lowest level of chemical free, biodynamic is one level above, and then biological is the highest level. You don't have to use harmful chemicals to grow hemp successfully. Hemp is naturally antibiotic and it cuts UV rays when you're wearing it. Hemp enables regional industries and economies to flourish. Here's my proposition to you. Industrial hemp without retting can make an immediate, inspiring, nurturing, positive, sustaining and life-giving difference to the planet. Your job, whoever you are watching this presentation, is to share the ideas, insights and possibilities that have occurred to you where you live or through your connections because you've experienced this presentation, to create a surge in economic activity, jobs and skills development. And I want you to understand where did jobs come from? They come from entrepreneurs, from people doing things. When you sit on your bum and do nothing, nothing gets created. But when people go out there and do wonderful, healthy work and convert this magnificent crop into the wonderful solutions that it can, it creates job opportunities. It creates economic activity, and money is simply a representation for human activity. And where I said right at the start, this company was started 28 years ago in 1994 to enable farmers to be profitable, but for everybody on the whole supply chain to be profitably engaged in hemp. And I say that hemp is the most amazing plant that God has made available to us. It's been around for 8,000 plus years. We at Textile and Composite have solved the biggest problem of converting hemp into profits, which is decortication. And the only reason why hemp is not the preeminent agricultural broadacre crop on the planet is because of political influence, because of the influence of the oil, the hydrocarbon industry, of certain global elites who do not want hemp to succeed. And my vision for hemp is that local communities can literally grow hemp and tell the rest of the world to get stuffed. Hemp enables a community to be totally self-sufficient because it's got 10 categories of products. And the first four, the most important: food, clothing, shelter, medicine, and the fifth one, fuel. What else do you need? And the other point I make is that if all you had to eat was hemp seed, you would survive. It would be pretty boring, but hemp seed would enable you, with a wonderful source of protein that it is, to survive on that as a food source alone. So you can see that a small community could literally go off grid and to live a magnificent life without having to have the influence of globalist agendas, of corrupt medical officials, to live healthy lives, to have a magnificent experience of this thing we call life on Earth. Get into hemp. It's the future. Thanks for listening. I'm now readily available for questions. So please unmute yourself when you have a question. And to make this sensible, use the reactions tab below. You go to the reactions tab, you raise your hand, and I'll handle the questions in order so that there's not 7 of us talking at the same time. So, questions, comments, thoughts? Craig.
Hi, Charles. So, thanks again for doing the presentation. My question is this: I know you said we should reach out to the off takers first, and we do agree. And I saw in your one of the attachments you sent that you offer some sort of consultation or in that process.
Yes, we do.
What does it take to get that part? Because what I'm thinking is we would start there and kind of form our relationship with you guys so that we can come up with a plan together. And then I saw you had a few other options as well, as far as joint ventures and things. But because, like you said, we should decide exactly, depending on which area we are, which type of products that we put out.
And Craig, in any group that watches this, and so we'll make it specific, but also, this presentation can go to other places as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great question that you ask, and you start to go, what problems can hemp solve? And then you go, okay, so what connections do we have, do you have, that we can access? Because the world works through relationships. And you start to go, okay, if you turn your mind to this question, where do you have relationships? So you can go to strangers, but it's much easier to go to people where you have relationships. And this group, any group, has identified problems. Now, there are huge problems on the planet. So the question for each group is to say, well, what problem do we want to solve? Now, if we're focusing on Africa, an African country will say, we need economic activity. That's true. And so the starting point can be, right, well, in your country, what do you spend export dollars on? Or if you think of Haiti, if you think of Cuba, if you think of Central American countries whose economy, whose GDP is way below that of America, you say, why is that? The answer is because people haven't got jobs. And then you start to go, I wonder what jobs we could do. And then you start to go, what could we produce in Haiti with a crop? We then decorticate, we then got herd. We could ship that herd to Kentucky. And we've got people doing stuff. And the key to lifting people out of poverty is to give them useful, valuable, sensible, healthy jobs. And because there's 25,000 different products that can be made, it doesn't mean that there's one answer to this question. And so we have to use what's called we have to use our imagination. You start to go, gosh, I wonder what would be possible. And then because of my experience, because of the 50 plus years I've been in business, I can help guide, have connections to. And the other issue that will happen is that there are people in the world, individuals. There are over 1,000 billionaires on this planet today. Okay? There's plenty of money. And so you say, well, who do we get the money from? Going to a bank is a bad strategy. My question is, who do you know as a second or third level connection? Go, a billionaire, for example, who says, I'm concerned about, let's take Haiti or let's take an African country. I'm concerned about what's happening in Malawi. We find that billionaire and we do a pitch to them. Say, hey, we've got the imagination, we've got the skills. All we need is $20 million for you to make a big difference using hemp in a particular place. Make sense?
Yes. And then as far as the facility, do you recommend that we do, say in the DRC, do we do a multi-purpose facility with all the other supplemental pieces of equipment as far as like the degumming, the dryers and all those other things to support multi-products?
No, I say do not do degumming at the start.
Okay.
Because globally, just to give you a context, from FIHO, the Federation of International Hemp Organizations, there's 200,000 hectares, 500,000 acres of hemp being grown around the world. It's nothing. Okay, and so if for example, you use the Democratic Republic of Congo, you say, righto, well, what should we produce? And we start by producing the fiber and the herd. We bale up, you get a cotton press, a wool press, squash the fiber after decortication and ship that to China, ship that to Turkey. There's such a demand for hemp fiber, you don't over-engineer it. Okay? Unless there are textile experts in a particular group, or unless there are textile experts already in the DRC, but you can also send that fiber to other textile producing countries in Africa, because Africa produces a lot of textiles. So don't over-engineer. Keep it simple for the first 1, 2, or 3 crops. And then as the profits start coming in, then that attracts more money.
Okay. So initially we would just start with the D8 and what else?
That's all it needs is a harvester. You need to, then you need a planter. Now we've got jobs. Okay, so in Australia we use an air seeder. Now an air seeder is very efficient. They're not expensive, but they can be hired as well. So you plant the seed, it grows. It then needs to be cut. So it can be cut by hand. It can create jobs that way, or so the slashing process and then I recommend that it go to seed. So as it grows taller, it goes to seed. Then you need to harvest, take the seed off the top. And then straight after that comes the harvesting of the stalk. So picture here's the stalk. It's got the seed at the top. Take that off the top because that's valuable. Then you've got the rest of the stalk. That gets cut and brought to the decorticator. And then it's produced in the FIBRE and HURD. And then you've got 4 products, 4 raw materials. You've got seed, you've got the fibre, you've got the HURD, and you've got the dust. And the dust is cellulose. It's also valuable.
I got a question. Can I get one in? Peace and blessings, everybody that's on the call. All right, so I spoke to my people in Queens, right? And what we have is I invested in a digital farmers market. So I got a bunch of gang of people that have a farmers market, and it looks just like you in Africa. Like they got these structures with tarp and the whole 9. So I spoke with one of them, man, and what I want to do is I want to connect with the guys that have the machine that's in Pennsylvania, and I want to purchase some of the board or whatever that I can purchase, and I want to build a farmers market booth out of the product, and I want to tape it and everything so I can use that media that I make as promotion to help move forward to show people how we can take small things and create bigger things with this opportunity. So I'm willing to pay for some board that I can make a farmer's market storefront out of. Is that possible?
There are a number of ways to do that. I'm happy to talk about how you would do that to do the promotion at a farmer's market. We attend a TCI, textile at our company, but also the Australian Industrial Hemp Alliance. We attend 4 exhibitions each year, and we've got beautiful products to demonstrate. You don't need to make it out of hemp. We've got a whole bunch of products that are available to be shown, and people are fascinated by, and I'll show you pictures of it at some point. People are fascinated by all the possibilities with hemp, and there's some wonderful ways to demonstrate to people what hemp is capable of doing, but you're absolutely on the right track to show people what's possible to shift their mindset.
Yeah, I want to build something. I want to build a small farmers market store first, and then I'll create a relationship with whoever I get the board from, because once I do this, then everybody else's booth going to be wanting to be made out of this, because right now they're having an issue with the way that they make it, and those tarps and everything, they leak. So people is losing things. So this is like you said, everything about moving forward is finding a solution to a problem.
Yes.
So I found a place, man, where I can demonstrate.
Very good. Yes, I see. So the farmers market. So these are all the farmers who come in out of the open. It's pouring rain, and they want a nice.
Yeah, and they losing product. Rain is going down into the tarp.
Gotcha.
So I was like, yo, if we can build out the first store out of the hemp creek boards and everything, and then put something waterproof on the outside of it, the rest of the market is going to automatically follow suit. And I already got the right to take the whole production.
Yep. Very good. Good. Excellent thinking. We'll talk about it. Next question.
All right. No, that's the only thing I got. I just need to do that.
Excellent. I'm delighted there are no questions. Hello, Keith. I'm delighted there are no questions, which means that I explained the story?
I do have a question. I
love questions.
So here in the U.S., is machine do you have a prototype of that machine here in the U.S. at all?
Yes.
And where is that located?
Not a prototype, an actual machine. 2 machines.
Yeah, and where is it located? What state?
Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania. So we could actually go out and actually see that.
Yes. Subject to certain matters.
Yeah. Okay.
Because the simple answer on just going to have a look, it becomes very time consuming for people who have bought the machine to then have people coming to have a look. Oh, that's very interesting. The far better solution is for us to have a machine that we have available to demonstrate to all the farmers expos, farmers, what do they call them? In Australia, we have these big field days for farmers. And so our game plan is to have a machine in America that goes around to all of the farmers' conferences.
That is the best way of doing it.
Yep.
We call them farmer fairs here.
That's our plan. Keith, that's what we're planning to do. And it's only because of the madness of COVID and the unwarranted government lockdowns, it slowed us down in our plans, but it requires a fair bit of money to make a machine, ship it to America, and then have it driven around America at all of these expos. But that's the game plan.
Okay, so a couple of other questions. What other machinery is competitive to this? What other machine? If someone says, "Well, I'm using this," or "I'm using that," is there another machine in the marketplace that does a similar function that we're going to run up against?
It doesn't matter, Keith. It does not matter. I'll tell you why. Number one, I'm satisfied that our machine gives the greatest return on investment. That's the only test that matters. Number two, return on investment is the test. Number two, I said before, there are 500,000 acres of hemp growing globally. One of our machines will decorticate 2,500 acres over the course of a year. Right, so doing between 1 and 2 tons of stalk per hour. Now that's a lot of volume. All right, and this is a movable machine. It takes half a day to move from one site to another. And you can buy a European machine that costs 10 million euro, 15 million US dollars, where our machine costs less than $500,000. And they will do 10 tons an hour, but it's fixed. You have to bring the stalk to that machine. Now, I'm not concerned. I don't know of any machine that's better than ours or gives a better return on investment. But I have no need for our machine to be the only machine in the market because
If I seen it was important like that, I would have took it up.
Because our machine will only do 2,500 acres over the course of a year on average. And our vision for Australia is we need 1 million hectares, 2.5 million acres for Australia. America will be 10 million acres. That will need thousands of machines. Doesn't matter. I'm not worried about that because you can never produce too much hemp. That's the point. Hemp solves so many.
You don't have to convince me. Also, my question is, what are the barriers that you have found that you run across in terms of having someone purchase this machine? What are the key 1 or 2 or 3 barriers?
Sorry, Keith, there's a bit of background noise. Say that again.
I was asking, what are the 1 or 2 barriers that you have found in selling and marketing this machine?
The buyers for end products. That's all. Buyers for end products. The fibre, hurd, seed, dust.
Those are your barriers. Is that what you're saying?
Yep. The second barrier is people say, I want to see the machine operational. Okay. Most farmers go, I want to kick the tires. I want to do this. I want to do that. That's the second barrier. But the first barrier, and quite frankly, we are more profitable if we hire the machines out to farmers than sell the machine. Okay, that's a better financial outcome.
Right. It is a business model. Yeah.
So we do both. We sell the machine and we hire it out.
Yeah.
Now farmers, why are farmers not growing hemp? The answer is because they're not, the supply chains are more difficult. But of course, the profitability of anything follows the risk. And so supply chains in hemp are more complex. So that's a big barrier, Keith. But those barriers, because the politicians keep putting barriers in the way. For example, if you're producing medicinal cannabis, you have to destroy the stalk after you've made your crop, produced your crop. So, but the biggest solution to driving the demand for hemp, is to educate the market. And I've got 2 more minutes because I'm finishing at 7:30. All right, Keith. So they're the barriers: market demand, and then supply chain issues, and thirdly, I want to see the machine in action. Yes. Next question. What's your name?
All right, real quick. So I know that the model that Keith and them used with their investors was they gave them an opportunity to go to the farm and actually see the plants grown. What I'm saying is it an opportunity for us to create one walkthrough where we can collectively go and see these machines in operation, so we can go back and do our thing?
Yes, because Craig knows the operator of this machine in Pennsylvania. So Craig can have that conversation with Jerry in Pennsylvania.
All right. Keep in mind on what we're talking about, because I know we all want to see it.
My last question is your company that's in the U.S., do they have an exclusive on the U.S.?
No. No one will get an exclusive.
Okay.
Keith and Deez, I already spoke with Jerry about you guys coming to see the machine in operation.
Okay.
I'm not happy about people using the machine to suit themselves, have a look at it, and they've got no resources to do what they say they think they can do. I don't want to waste anybody's time.
No, that's not us though.
So that's what. So Craig,
that's not what this group is
Jerry,
about.
It's up to Jerry and the whole team in Pennsylvania. So that's all. So if they're happy, I'm delighted. Okay. All right. It's 7:30. Thank you, everybody. And please, I will send this recording. So I do urge you. Now, I have found when Adrian Clark first started educating me about the decorticator and hemp, I found I kept asking him questions that he had previously told me. And someone asked me another question and I didn't know. And, it took 3, 4, 5 times to deeply understand what he was telling me. And there's benefit in re-watching the recording for anybody who watches it to more deeply understand the issues. So thank you, everybody. Wonderful to be with you, Craig. Well done for organising. Thank you for the questions. I love questions because your questions help me to keep developing my thinking, as they have over the last 10 years anyway. And I look forward to sharing this journey because I promise you that I am absolutely convinced it's not possible to grow too much hemp. I'm absolutely certain of that. And hemp can solve so many global problems. It's very exciting for me, provided that we get government out of the way. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I will now stop the recording.
All right, I look forward to getting this. Thank you.